Thank you for watching FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Datu Tim. This is my phenomenal co-host.
PG Tye is back. Hello, everyone.
He's back and better than ever.
Not about that.
Yeah, so of course I've been a little distracted, so whatever. But oh, look at that. Mr. Wolf is waiting to say how y'all doing.
Up. Very good.
Good. And I gotta.
Hey, I just realized it's Johnny's birthday today, the actor that played him. Same age as us, William Zabka.
Okay, cool. Johnny! And FMA Talk.
Must be Dean.
Dean.
Nice.
So I haven't talked to you in a while, my friend.
Mm.
So Barbados was awesome.
Cool, nice.
And,
yeah, I caught a little bit of that.
We're going back in 2025. And we're going to host, and we were going to do this before. I remember you were part of that conversation and stuff. We were going to do the Caribbean Modernist Festival or Modernist Camp. And it didn't happen because COVID got in the way. Well, we're doing it. So that'll be the co-host for this will be the Caribbean Martial Arts Festival. So there'll be a little overlap and such, but it'll be a good time. So we're definitely pulling the trigger for that. I should by December, I should have a whole bunch of things set up. The website for the World Championships, dates for the Caribbean Martial Arts Festival, all this stuff. I actually have some events already scheduled for 2026. Nice. So some I have to wait because just too much stuff is going on. But yeah, we said it was Dean. We figured that out, Dean. And Terrell says hello from Maryland. Good to talk to you, Mr. Hiltz. He was just up in at Craig's Way because Craig did the Canadian Northern Ontario Modernist Camp.
That looked fun. Yep.
Yeah, and the Southern Ontario one will be our Thanksgiving weekend, Black Friday weekend. It'll be the Saturday and the Sunday, and I think we might even be doing color belt gradings for those who are eligible while we're there. Then Eric's not at the gym; he's there.
Nice.
And then here's Tim Dobson says hello from London, Ontario, or the Metro London area. All right, cool. So, I told everybody, we talked about this, that you were the responsible husband and took your lovely wife out for her birthday.
We had dinner and hung out. Good stuff.
Was she like 26 now, 27?
Something like that, yeah.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. I won't say that. She doesn't care, but I'll still be nice.
Okay. So, so that's so that was that. That's why Dean was here last week. We talked about training through injuries. Actually we talked about a lot of things. We even talked about opioid addictions and stuff like that because because some of the things that are prescribed for people are very addictive.
Yep.
It was little on the not as much on how to train through it, but advice going into, hey, and first of all, and for those who are watching it tonight, you see, if you decide to watch back on that, we're not medical professionals. Get proper advice. And the advice that we gave was based on our personal experience. And like Dean's stuff was over a decade ago. Mine was this year. So, I mean, obviously we have two completely different experiences. And then we talked about what you get with your social or with your insurance, which may not be good enough. Right. Our friend from Canada up in who always gives us the rubber chicken salute, the guy in Alaska, or is it Alaska? He's a vet, and terrible insurance, unfortunately, he had. So, for me, actually, the biggest difference is that a lot of the people that we're talking from another era of medical situations, where today I think it's a lot better, but better isn't necessarily good.
Well, it really also depends on what you do, right? You also have to listen to yourself and be careful. All the good stuff I'm sure you guys cover.
Yeah. But it was a really I think it was a really good I think it was really good, So any events coming up? You got yours coming up real soon, right?
11th, yeah. 11 was it 11/11?
Yeah, 11/11. I'm doing my tournament the same day, but could you tell everybody what your event is again?
Yeah, it's a fall FMA fling. It's the 5th annual one. So that's the one I started about 5 years into doing the spring one, just to get some extra time out there. And
this is a little specialer,
well,
more unique than the previous one.
It's on Veterans Day, so we're going to do benefit for Wounded Warriors.
There you go.
We've raised some money for that already. In fact, actually, when I re-announce it, or the next reminder, I'll post the links again and make those points. Good, but already good support. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, a lot of things going on. That's in the Fairfax area, right. And then that is 11/11. The following month on the 9th, I will be down at Daryl Richardson's place. I will be doing he and I will be teaching together a smoking sticks and praise Arnie seminar.
Right. In between, you also got the Maryland camp, right?
Maryland camp. It'll be in Delaware camp.
Delaware.
and then we've got Bobby Tabuada's birthday next weekend.
Yep.
Not this weekend, coming the following week, So we're planning on being down there for that.
Yep.
Which we're going to talk about after session tonight.
Right. How to the logistics. Yep.
Yeah. This, I don't think, is going to be a really, really long conversation. Yeah. Tonight. I think this is one of our shorter ones, because I don't really think I think this is going to be fairly easy to talk about.
Sure.
We're going to talk about the different phases of training. And one of the things that I'm looking to do, our Filipino martial arts, unfortunately, is really more of a folklore-based delivery system. Would you feel that's fairly accurate?
It's often very, very organic and very craft-like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's not manuals on this. I've had people make comments to me, well, just look in the records. This is not something that, I mean, you think about this, that the Spaniards occupied the Philippines for 400-ish years, and it was all to promote Catholicism. So they changed the face of the Philippines. I mean, drastically redid everything in the Philippines. Who knows if we even know what a true Filipino looks like anymore? And I've had people say, I'm Filipino. I go, yeah, you are. You're Filipino, but what were Filipinos like prior to Spain finding it? Or invading. It's become more of a melting, like the States is a melting pot. It's kind of become the melting pot of Southeast Asia. You've got Spanish blood, you've got definitely multiple DNA infusion from people from World War II after that. So you've got a lot of European influence. I mean, because Americans, obviously, we're not Americans. The only Americans out there are really Native Americans. We just took over the place, and we didn't take over. My family didn't take over. I came over at the end of the Civil War, and we went to the north. But I mean, the thing here is, a lot of the stuff, there's been a lot of cross-pollination down there. So, and we know the same thing happens with their culture just as much, but a lot of this stuff, I think a lot of Filipino heritage may have been wiped out due to trying to spread the word of Jesus, as the Spaniards were doing. I'm not okay. I'm not, and I'm not making a statement of where it is. I'm just talking about what happened. So I'm not for or against. Okay, so who do we got here? As a disabled vet, my crew and I will be there. PG Tye.
All right.
Then we have someone from the Bay Area saying hello, and then Zach Harper says hello. I just issued him and a few of the guys this past weekend. We brought all the Floridian diplomas down there at the Maya convention, and so it was good to do that. And actually,
in person, yep.
Mike Perry handed me the microphone. I made a public presentation. It was really, I was hoping, but I didn't expect that to happen because I really wanted to make it. So for those who didn't know, we did a test in May. And if you've been around here, that sometimes I have some printer issues. Well, the printer died. I started doing all the diplomas before the camp started, like the Monday. And the diploma and the printer died. So the first day of camp, the printer showed up. But we already decided there was no way we were going to try to do the diplomas, because the previous year at the anniversary camp, I probably spent 60% of the camp, if not more, in the office doing we did 50 promotions. Yep. And I didn't do any of the diploma. I did very few of the diplomas prior to the camp. And that was pretty much what did that in. So that printer in. So I've got the new printer. It is amazing. And the first batch of things I've actually printed were the diplomas. There's other things I've been printing up. And we did the IDC, the instructor development camp, and I had all the black belts, the board there. So I had them sign off as they do. There's 3 lines. The first line is the grading officer, if I'm not mistaken. Then it's the instructor, and then it's my signature on the bottom. Mm-hmm. And as much as I can sign for most of those lines, if not all of those lines, I'd rather not do that. I'd rather have more people part of that process. So, I got down all the Floridians. There was one typo I have to fix, and I'm not sure if it was on my end. I'm pretty sure I did exactly what they sent me, so I have to go back to my registration and go, for the record. But until I know, I might even do that while Mr. Harper's watching. Okay, here we go. From YouTube, I've heard stories that several of the old masters had secret moves they didn't teach until near the end of their lives. Did Remy have any moves he didn't teach or share until later? Well, let me do this. And then Sam says that's probably 80% of the camp in my office. So here's the thing. If it was a secret, we probably didn't know about it. I don't think Remy... Oh, and by the way, so right now, because I said the word Remy twice now, that's 2 shots you'd have to take, because Renee made it a shot game. Every time Tim would say Remy, well, there's 3 shots.
All right.
So then Dean had to do shots during that. And then I'd say, if I said Professor, it was okay, but if I would say Remy, there's 4. And then we had to clarify whether it actually counted or not the way I said it.
Well, and you and I know, right? Most of us, he told us we better call him Remy. So,
well, and then here's the thing. And I pointed out, this is FMA Talk, the Modern East Chronicles. Right. So, what's our primary focus? Modern East. So, whose name is going to come up? Yep. Remy Prices.
But I would say this on that question, Remy. I don't know about secret, but certainly he was evolving. There was things that he didn't teach until near the very end, because he didn't get there, or he didn't feel like we were there. Either one.
And I'm glad you said it instead of me, because that's exactly what I was going to say. I put our banners up there too. Yeah, I don't think Professor. See, I said Professor. I don't think Professor held anything back other than what people couldn't handle at the time.
Right.
Because here's the thing. I mean, I've got habits, and I think I inherited it from him. So I always, when I would go do my balance walk or whatever, I would teach my students the material so I could do it. And then if they were doing the material, it would help me work on the either to come up with a counter,
Right.
or to work what the counter was. And I can't work the counter, like especially at the balance walk I practice. There's your base move, and then there's the counter to the move, and then there's a counter to that move, and there's a counter to the next move. And obviously, the more moves removed from the initial point of contact, the more it's about theory and position recognition and stuff of that nature.
Right.
But I think Professor wanted the moves taught so then it would help spark him as much to come up with more material. And then Talis says, hello,
Hey, Talis.
from Brazil.
Yep.
Hey, Talis. So before I go any further, I'm glad you're on here. I'm also going to do an article about Talis. Actually, it's about my experience when we tried to test Talis. I had a freaking breakdown. I lost my shit out of frustration. And we're going to talk about that and how we recovered and pivoted during the test, because bad audio, lack of communication, and how I had to step up and do the right, step up and figure a fix versus just saying, we're not doing this. And it got really close to saying, we're not finishing this test because we couldn't communicate simple things. And Talis knows English. Talis knows English a hell of a lot better than I know Portuguese. And then we figured something out, which we'll talk about on the show. And Talis had a lot of patience and fortitude to push through, no matter how much. I didn't berate him, but I yelled a lot because so he could hear me, and I was frustrated at the same time. So Talis, while I've got you on here, what I wanted to do is, now we're going to miss Tye on the 6th. So I had a tentative show set, but I may postpone it. Matter of fact, I am going to postpone it. I want to move this. My question is for you, Talis. Are you available on the 27th? Because what I'd like to do is World Modern Race Alliance in Brazil and just talk about the things you're working on. So if you're available that evening, it would be the 27th, 8:30 our time. I think that's 7:30 your time, or is it 9:30 your time? I'm not sure which direction we're going. I know there's an hour difference. But if you're available, the 6th, I'm going to come up with a different show because I'm missing my main man here. But yeah, so that just, let us know if that works for you. Next week, we're going to work on curriculum delivery systems, modular, linear, as well as rotating curriculum. What does that all mean and how they work? And then find your best what works best for you, or a combination of any of them. Then the 6th, I'll figure out something else to have on there. The 13th, we're going to do World Modern Race Alliance USA. What's happening, what's going to happen. The 20th, we're going to do WMA Canada. Same thing, what's happened, what's happening. And Brazil, what's happened and where's it going. And then our finale is going to be the 11th of December. That'll be after the DC event. And then we're going to take a hiatus because the 25th is Christmas Day and New Year's Day are both on Mondays. So a few weeks off from that. I'm thinking maybe take off to the 22nd or 29th of January. I would say the whole month of January, but I'm leaving for the Philippines and I'm going to miss a little. So,
yeah.
Oh, Sir Oliver, how you doing? Oliver wishes me a happy morning all the time.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, so that's a little what we're talking about. We'll get more into that later. I'm going to close that screen. I gotta do something to work on my lighting in here. I'm not happy with my lighting. Good. Yeah, it will be great. I'm glad. I gotta also okay. So the nice thing is, while we had like 3 events all in the same weekend. I think it was when we were in we had Barbados, Sam did an event, and Talis did an event.
Right.
So Talis sent me a write-up. I need to put it up on the website. Some of the stuff, it just takes me, I'm just dealing with being out of the mix. Uh-oh.
You've been away a lot.
Okay, here we go. Oliver says, you guys have a blessed morning, Paul. Okay.
Nice. Thank you.
I can be available for the 6th call. You know what?
There you go. There you go.
Eric, done. You're in. You see, he moved before Dean had his shot. I can't let Dean have all the fun. Don't blame the lighting, blame the model. Oh, you suck.
Nice.
Hey, and Renee, you missed me say, wait for it. You missed me say, Ty, say it for me.
Oh, Remy.
6 times.
Gentleman and Ty. Very good.
I'm pointing to you, Ty.
Yep, Remy. Oh, the other way. There you go. Yep.
Okay.
For me, at least.
I got it the right head. Because no, I'm saying to you to say,
oh, Remy
was here.
Yep.
We would have a lot of stories from
Remy. Very good.
So right there, Renee. We talked about your drinking.
Wait,
game.
what is the word again? Is it Remy, or should I spell it R-E-M-Y? Remy? What?
Yeah, it could be a whole other thing. And then Oliver, thanks, Master. Your mention of my name always take care, Master.
Umaga. Yep.
Umaga. And Oliver, if you do hear, and you're, I'm not sure. We've communicated in text. I don't know how well you can understand the English language. I know my Tagalog is terrible, and Cebuano is even worse. But we are 12 hours behind you. So when it's morning for you, it's evening for us. And when daylight savings time goes into effect, it's going to be 13 hours behind.
That's all fake, right? It's flat Earth. That's all.
Are we going to get rid of all that soon?
I wish. I hope.
I heard we were supposed to. And then he says, awesome. I go, so if I was going to run for president, the 2 things I would, here's what my platform would be.
Right.
Get rid of daylight savings time and the new math.
There you go. The new math.
Because parents can't do the new math, so why have them help their kids when they don't understand? Although it's funny because when I do math and I tell people, I'll do it. How'd you figure that out? I did this, and this. I go, Tim, that's the new math. I go, yeah, but I figured that shit out for myself. You're trying to make me learn something that I just organically learned, and it worked off the basic math. And if it worked for all of our predecessors, I guess it could have worked for me. Okay, so today's topic, I don't even remember what it was.
3 tiers.
Oh, the 3 tiers. Craig Mason. Hey, Craig, we mentioned about doing a Canadian WMA show next month. So we'll have to get the troops together so we can do that. Yeah, so the 3 tiers of trading. So I think a lot... everyone does this, but I don't think everyone is aware of what they're doing. And because they may not realize it, because it might be more of a hidden in plain sight thing, and it's never been defined. I think some arts like karate and taekwondo might get a bad rap, and part of it's their own doing. But there's other things that people aren't looking at the main story. So I'm going to talk about what I perceive as and here's the other thing. We talked about I started going on the path with this, because we're a folklore type thing and we hand things down to each other. There's not an established nomenclature through us. There was no university. Modernists got in the school systems, and a lot of people have built systems off of that. But there's a lot of people out there who didn't have access to this, there are a lot of smart people like Grandmaster Bobby Tabata tells the story. He only had 4 years of school. And that's because his parents had money for the school supplies. If they didn't have that, he may not even have gotten that, because in school, and back then, maybe in his era, it didn't make a difference. But these days, you need to have all your own supplies. I've sponsored a couple of families, and they give you 4 years of school, but you still need to have all your supplies, like a uniform and all that other stuff. After that, you got to pay for school yourself. Needless to say, a lot of people do not have higher education, let alone high school education. And as I've talked about before, my first trip to the Philippines, I cried my eyes out seeing the quantity of people living in the streets. It broke me, crushed me. And it made me a better person. 1, I help out people individually because you can't help out everybody there. 2, every time I say, "Oh, woe is me, I'm a little bedwetter. Oh, I'm crying because something bad happened to me," I think about that trip and I'm like, I've got nothing to complain about. Now, with the stuff with my shoulder, the body, I was very, very depressed. We talked about this last week, and when the doctor told me, at least with my shoulder, he thinks we can fix this non-surgically, I almost broke down crying because the frustration and the pain that I was going through was crazy.
Mhm.
Where it hurt to drive a car,
Mhm.
but you know that,
Mhm.
having gone through things yourself.
Mhm.
Um, but that was last week's show. So let's get on to this week's show. So, so feel free to use this. What I really want to do is start trying to use terminology or coming up with terminology that we could all use together, or at least, oh, we call it this, but I understand where you're coming from, Tim. So, so the three tiers of training are the three methodologies I look at, and you can come up with subdivisions as much as you want. I mean, just like you say, hey, what types of what type of martial arts are there? Well, there's striking, there's locking, and there's throwing. Well, I do weapons. Well, you tell me you don't strike with a weapon. Well, it's a blade. Okay, now it's cutting, but it could be the similar thing. Or you can say, well, here's weapon training, here's stand up, and here's groundwork. Okay. Then, well, what about the in betweens going from stand up to the ground? So, I mean, we could divide, subdivide, and redivide all we want, but we want to talk in just general things here. So let me see here. Oh God, I'm sorry I'm late. Missed me a second thought. Don't answer that. Haha. Hey Matt, you owe us was it 6 shots?
Right.
So it's every time I say
Remy.
that you have to take a shot according to Renee. He goes, Ty, we missed you. Don't do that again, haha. Oh,
And of course.
I got a message here.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, I'll look it over here. I bet you someone's so the other thing that was happening last week. Oh no, it wasn't that. Somebody kept sending me screenshots of me. There we go. We should see that coming in soon.
Nice.
They weren't sending it to me, they're sending it to Dean, and Dean was like, hey, he goes, hey, look, Renee's got another good one of you.
Nice.
So and yep. Yeah, that's 6 shots. There you go. But it's only if I say
Remy.
But if I don't say
Remy,
then it doesn't count.
there you go.
There's a comedian that did this, and it's a Caucasian comedian talking to a person of color. And he's got this guy just standing there, another part of the act who's another person of color. And then he goes, every time he says, listen to me, and the other guy would say the N-word. It's pretty, it's actually very funny. If you can joke about things like that. I hate the word, but it was done so well. It's just hilarious. And that's where I get the
Remy.
so, so it wasn't my idea. I just had to come up with that. Okay. And then you two suck. Okay. 2 times suck. Okay, LOL. And then Renee says, I'm behaving tonight.
Okay.
When do you ever
one
behave?
night. Just one night, right?
I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I don't buy what you're selling. So 3 stages of training. So I've put them into 3 categories, 3 primaries, and then Ty, you tell me if you think there's another major one we're missing. So I've always put it. So what I started talking about is the technical, the timing, and then the term that we're using at the moment, which we're always talking about. There's one, we had a phrase that we just lost. It was a beautiful phrase. Right. It'll come up when I retire from martial arts and start doing Tai Chi and Aikido, because we figured that's how you retire. So it was non-compliance phase. So those are. I saw that skit. It was hilarious. Yep. So Terrell knows exactly what I'm talking about because the white guy was really white. It was very funny. But anyways, I digress. So before we start doing definitions, can you think of any other ones that we may have left out for the most part? Majors, not hybrids.
Right. So technical, non-compliance, and what again?
Technical, timing, and non-compliance. That's the order I generally go through.
Technical, timing.
Hello, Gary.
There's a lot. I mean, technical covers a lot.
It does.
Including position, including
Mhm.
details, force, position, structure, all that good stuff. So maybe, maybe that's got them all.
Okay.
I hadn't put a lot of thought into it, but we'll see what ferments while we talk.
You never know, and we might find out that there's so with the Bondo exposure, there's always this 3x3 matrix, but I feel that there always could be room for a fourth or a fifth or whatever. We talk about there's martial art, martial sport, martial combat, but I'll talk a big one today. If we want the arts to go forward, we need to also think about martial business, even if we're non-for-profit. How do we run something in a way? You got to think about the business ways to get things going in a positive way. Like I said, it's not about always making money. It's about how to recruit new people, how to do advertising, and hey, making sure you cover yourself. But that's been other shows. So let's talk about this technical. So the technical, well, that's working the technique. So how do I describe that? So, I just happen to have a knife here.
Mhm.
So let's say a stick, knife, or whatever. I may hold the weapon out here and just let person work the disarm. So I'm working the mechanics of working the mechanics of the technique. I'm not swinging the stick. I'm just what happens when we get that to that point of impact. So, or it could be like I throw a punch out there and leave it out there. We've seen that in martial arts a lot, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a punch even. I will actually raise up my hand. So I want to make sure when I do the technical aspect, I'm trying to get myself in frame. It's really rough. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll just lift the arm up and have the weapon or my hand in the position I want. I don't want someone thinking I'm throwing a punch at them. I don't want them working anything other than, okay, now that the hand's here, what would you have done before the hand got there? Oh, I would have done my trapping. I would have done a shield or a block, whatever they make it. I might do Crusada and try to, let's say I'm working Guntings. I might just sit there and have the knife in front, or so someone puts their arm out. So it gives me like a Muk Chung, which is like a Wing Chun dummy. The rear hand parries their hand, the lead hand cuts their arm. Let me just work this coordination because you know what? Sure. I don't want to get it wrong and cut myself. So I work the mechanics of the technique of how it affects the incoming attack. But I'm not doing it from an attacking point of view. I'm just there. Now, the next phase is timing. So I do the same thing, but I will swing, punch, or grab. And we see it like in karate, they'll leave the punch out there. So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the technical, but I've added that timing element. Mm-hmm. Still not with the intent of hitting the person. Still most likely holding the arm out there. Oh, are you taking? Did I spawn a good idea and you're taking notes?
Maybe.
I've actually brought my notepad out because during the thing to keep us on point, I've been writing things down. I actually think about getting one of those mini whiteboards that I can quickly write stuff down on.
Yep.
But the thing here is now I throw the punch out, and while it comes at me, I work the timing of that. And then there's the third phase, non-compliance. This, I don't think a lot of people get to that point. And that would be throwing a realistic attack, but not necessarily with real power. So let's say a punch. what does a punch do after you hit the target or try to hit the target? Ty, when you hit a when you watch people throw punches, what happens after they hit, miss, or are blocked? What usually do they do?
It depends. Am I watching a YouTube video or am I watching a fight?
Well, even a YouTube video.
YouTube video, they will hold it out there because they're training. They're showing something, they're illustrating.
Well, okay, but I'm talking about in real world.
Yeah. No, I mean, so it's never just one thing. So there's two parts of that. One, where's the other thing coming, or two, what's it getting ready to do next? So it's gonna keep doing a job or try to. It's not gonna just go, oh, I give up.
Yeah. So what I see a lot is when someone throws a punch, they reload to throw another punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking martial arts training. I'm talking real world application. No one sits there in the street and holds this arm out like we see in karate classes. Now, remember, a lot of times people don't get to that third phase, or they don't actively train the third phase, non-compliance. Mm-hmm. What does a punch do? It goes out and back. Now we look at our trapping hands, 1, 2, 3, or we look at Hubud, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you did it in its entirety, those techniques may not be applicable depending on the type of attack. If it's a jab, that's not going to work very well. And I know someone's going to say, I can do it. I don't care what you can do. I care what the masses can do. How many of your students can pull that off when someone throws that jab out? And what do they got to do in that? When I throw a stick, when I swing a stick at someone, a lot of times we do the hit at, and we leave the stick out there. But in all actuality, I'd swing through the target to reload on one side, or hit and come back and reload where the point of origin. We don't simulate that in training. We hold it out there. What stops us? If I swing through, what actually stops my stick from swinging through? If I swing a stick at you, Ty, how do you stop my stick?
Well, that would be a block.
Yeah, and what do you have to really stop on the block? What's the focal point?
Well, you have to stop the person delivering it, but
there we go. See, I know. I'm always wondering, like, I hope Ty didn't had a rough day today.
I did, yes, I did.
So I can never stop the stick by itself.
Right.
I need to stop the person.
Yep.
So we look at a whole bunch of people, they swing the stick and they hold it out there and they let the person do all the disarms and all their striking styles, whatever. But that's a way to feed and to work on timing. A lot of times you don't see people practice non-compliance striking or attacks, so it's a phase that we need to get through. Hold on here. What is it? How about martial tactical for more use in the streets?
How about martial?
Am I got that right? Okay, I'll be. Yeah. Hold on. Someone's getting loud in the background. I'll be right back.
All right. They're just parsing the sentence. How about martial tactics for more of using in the streets? Oh, as far as one of the tiers. Depending on how you look at it, that could be a combination of the non-compliance and the technical piece, right? But let's see, we had technical, we had non-compliance, and we had timing. Well, actually, that's a combination of all three, right? So I think that's the recipe that you put together. But I mean, however you want to look at it, right? It also depends on the emphases. I have another breakdown that we could look at. I mean, I think the utility of these kinds of things is that you make sure that you explore the space. How you cover that space and how you break it up or how you combine things is not nearly as important as actually covering the space. That's why a lot of different methods can be just fine as long as you're self-consistent and explore the space that needs to be solved, if you will. But that's part of the discussion. So yes, certainly that should come up, Gary. The tactical piece for using more on the streets or more in a real situation, right? Sure. And I think non-compliance would help you get there for sure, but you still need the others. maybe it's a separate tier. I don't think so, but that's me.
Well, I want to thank Gary for bringing this in, because to be honest with you, I think the show is going to be really short. But now he brought up another section of combat or of training.
Sure.
So we have to remember there's martial art, there's martial sport, there's martial combat. So combatives can be subdivided.
Sure.
We always talked about martial sport. So a lot of times martial artists will train for sport, and obviously they have to alter their tactics to stay within the rules of the competition and keep the competitors safe. Okay. Which is why the UFC at one time New York was the last state to let it happen, because we were the first state to shut it down and make it illegal. Yeah, they were actually set to do the UFC here in Buffalo. It was like UFC 3, and then I think it was 3, and then they shut it down to Puerto Rico last minute because they were passing a bill to make it MMA illegal in New York State. Professional MMA, which was a loophole where some people later went after because they did amateur MMA. But that was the steps just before they legalized it again. And the big thing was they needed to know who was going to be what part of what martial organization it would be under their jurisdiction, whether go under boxing or something along those lines, to make sure it's safe for all the competitors, because really that's what you need to do. Now, what we got here is a failure to communicate. No, what we got here is we want to look at other things. So like I said, we said martial art, martial sport, martial combat. Now, martial combat can be subdivided in multiple categories. And, I think you have modern combat. I think you have traditional combat. So I think a lot of times, one of my big pet peeves is that a lot of people are doing things that are unrealistic. And I say, for lack of better term, a lot of today's martial artists in many genres are cosplaying.
Well, it goes across the spectrum, right? Because either you could be cosplaying or you could be doing a match, which is not the same as life or death combat. It's not fair. It's a fair fight. It's a match. It's not actual combat that's going to be what's happening. Or there's other things like wartime footing versus ambush, right? All those kinds of different things. There's a ton of different characters there, and they'll all need similar and different attributes.
Hey, Gary, where in Florida are you? I've had some people reach out to me looking for training. They're going to be near Miami. Are you? I don't know where. I mean, do you teach something? I mean, I see here. I'm assuming you do. Seeing your personal bio. I know we're Facebook friends. And Zephyr Hills outside of Tampa. Okay, all right. And you do FMA as part of this? I probably should know this. It's been a really long day. All right, I'm gonna.
Oh, nice. That's pretty straightforward. It's his name.com. Well, martialarts.com.
Martialarts.com. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. That's handy.
Yeah, I'm going to. Well, and that's what we do. There are a lot of projects coming on down the road, and a lot of cool things. The Ty and I will be talking together on. This is another one. Where is it?
I think the technical probably could be expanded into 3 itself, but anyway.
Yeah. So I'm all about tactical. I'm all about tactical. And
are you tactical?
I'm tactical. So you've got kickboxing, you've got Hapkido, you've got Taekwondo.
Nice.
Yeah, cane, self-defense, and knife fighting. So let's talk about that. So you have kickboxing. Great for the ring. Elements of that could definitely be used in the street, but how realistic that is in a real street situation, because it's not dealing with grabs, chokes, takedowns, and stuff of that nature. Now, if you're teaching a hybrid program with a little bit of everything, then obviously you will be dealing with it. But you have some people who go specifically, I do kickboxing. Well, that's not going to deal well with multiple opponents with weapons. Okay. or look what happened to kickboxers when the UFC first came out, or when the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu infomercial came out. I've been in real, and I'm not saying you, Gary, when I say this, not much high kicks, you get killed. Yep. In the street, definitely. You don't want to do high kicks. To me, I've always told my students, sport, we got to go above the belt because them the rules, insurance, all this other stuff. But in the street, kicking to the head is like punching to the foot. Why would you do it? Now, I will say there is such gratification of the feeling of kicking somebody in the head. It's so awesome.
Well, it's good to kick him in the head once you double him over.
And there's the other way of doing it. Kick him in the groin and then go from there. But once again, I think we've covered the whole thing, the realm of the phases of training. Would you not agree with that? The tiers.
I mean, I think so. Like I said, though, I think technical could be expanded. I mean, you could break the technical down into its own, who, what, why, when, where, how, all by itself, right? You got position, you got sensitivity, you got targeting, you got purpose, which speaks to then Gary's question, right? That's the why, right?
Okay. So let me get this caught up here. Let's see. A block or a parry, purposeful compliance and personal defiance, and using the energy against oneself, as in Aikido. I don't get this one.
I don't know.
I'm missing something there, Ron. Zephyr Hills, we got that. I saw the responses. I didn't. Go, and here is Gary's website. Gary Hernandez, martial arts. He's in Zephyr Hills. He teaches at programs there. Where's your knife fighting from, by the way? What's the background on that? Is that Filipino, Korean, military based? Such a. Said not much for this. It goes okay. Not much high kicks get you killed. Yeah. And here we go. Boom. From Taliesin, Brazil, I believe the beauty of modernism, Balintawak is based on real street combats, and Modernist has updated the Balintawak knowledge. I'm going to disagree on that one. There was real. Well, let me clarify. Balintawak was real stick street fighting against other trained stick fighters,
right? In the tradition of the European kind of dueling kind of deal.
Dueling, yes. Okay. Okay. Kick to the head can be
attempted murder charge. Yep.
Yeah. Depending on where you're at. Yeah. In some states, if you wear a shod foot, having a foot with a shoe on it, you kicking somebody with a shoe on your foot in some states is considered assault with a lethal weapon.
Sure. Yeah.
So you got to, so whatever you do, you need to know the rules and regulations. Now, I know at the end of the day, I would do whatever, no matter where I am in the world, I do whatever I have to do to survive the encounter. That being said, we also have to think about the post-conflict scenario too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Does Modernist have any cheese? Unofficially, I would say yes. I think Remy had so many tricks up his sleeve, and it goes back to did Remy have any secrets? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Did
Remy
have any secrets?
Right.
So I would say there was things that we weren't ready for, and we were diverse enough. But I just Modernist, commonly referred to as the art within your art, which means you only learn part of the art. What do you think? Is that an accurate statement there, Ty?
If by art you mean everything that Remy had to offer, then yes.
Okay. So it was an art quite often, an approach quite often used to enhance a primary system, but not to replace a primary system. So you're still not getting the full gist of what Remy did. But he taught a lot of good people to really increase their martial ability by adding this to their martial system.
And there's a lot of characteristics of like Chisao type things about sensitivity,
Right.
adaptability, positional advantage, awareness, right? I call combat proprioception, all of that stuff in a lot of the drills that Remy had us all do, including trapping hands, even the tapi when you're getting more of the free player, all that kind of good stuff. But per se, no. However, cross hands with him, and you will feel that, right?
So Gary, one of our black belts, who is the first, to our knowledge, maybe the only Modern East black belt to become a dog brother, Craig Mason, actually visits Zephyr Hills. So his father or his in-laws, I forgot which one, actually vacations down that way. So I'm not sure if Craig's going down this year or not. But now that I have you as a contact, or now that I know you're down there, I'll definitely have him swing by and visit you if you're open to visitors coming by. I don't want to say yay or nay, but yeah, that's friggin' awesome. So let me answer this one. The World Championships having point fighting, empty hand fighting. Yes, it's going to have everything. It's going to have. Now we are going to do the blade rules stick fighting, which is basically point stick fighting, but we'll have point karate fighting, and then there'll be specifically a Sikaran division for adults, and then we'll go from there. So Balintawak is more like classical Wing Chun, made to fight against someone with the same background than you. Would you say that's the accurate statement? Because I don't know enough about Wing Chun there.
Well, it's more like a classic Wing Chun. Oh, yeah. I mean, that sort of fits, right? Because even, but actually, I would actually, yes, but in the larger sense. So Wing Chun is actually, some people characterize as art to fight other Kung Fu folks. Doesn't matter if it's just pure Wing Chun. And in that case, yes. So if you got a trained stick fighter, Balintawak will be fun for that at the high levels. And I think that's where they approach it. However, again, so with Remy being undefeated, when he did in the Balintawak circles, he wasn't just using Balintawak. He was using his whole skill set, if you will, and to the best of his ability. And that's what really mattered, because really it wasn't, because it was one-on-one. Anyway, that's very organic. One-on-one, everybody's Balintawak is a tad different. And so if you brought in specialties and that made it work in your Balintawak, then you were fine, because you could make it work. It was the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. Anyway, I digress, but yes, sort of. How's that for an answer?
I think we're on point. Okay. So I put your information in there, Gary. So I can send that to Craig so he can come and visit you. All right. Cool. All right. All right. So when you leave and come back, left off there. I left. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna that. He always welcome. Good. Good evening, gentlemen. Not sure who you are, and do you are you guys? I'm assuming that's two. You guys are always welcome at my school. You shouldn't have said that.
might just show up.
I'm that guy.
Might just show up.
You heard him. You heard him,
right.
Folks.
That's right. Where again?
It's Zephyr Hills, Florida.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So
you get down there sometimes.
I was just in Florida last week.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a big state, but still.
Or not the last week. I was there yesterday. I flew home yesterday.
Right.
So let me just I'm gonna map this out, because I'm just curious. So I got that. Okay. Oh, this is good. I got his website. I've got his directions. And what I'm gonna do is a tentative. Okay, that works well. So I'm usually within 3 hours. Actually, I was in Orlando. So he's a little over 3 hours from Ernie McKinney's. But not that far from Orlando. And that's where I was yesterday. Means he's like an hour and 20 minutes away. He's by 10. Oh, shoot. That's good. So I might have some people from Europe I'm going to be sending you that are vacationing in the Tampa area. So looking for a place to train while they're over. So I gotta go back and look at somebody there. Okay, so I think a lot of times people. All right, so we have the styles of technical. We've got timing. We've got non-compliance. Now, Gary made a comment about being tactical. I think this boils down to being an application situation. Do people train for things that are you doing martial arts for fitness, form, or function? Physical attributes, technical precision, or and preservation, or function, what works? And that is such a vague term. So let's look at the Dog Brothers, since we have a black belt. I don't know if he's still on the show with us today, but PG Craig was on here. And, so there's no question. So the Dog Brothers methodology of sparring is real contact. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not real context, because it's two people agreeing to a match, still wearing some protective gear. Same thing with Balintawak when they're fighting in the streets. There were duels, one match against another. If you look at, I know it's a movie when I say this. I'm assuming there was some stuff going on where they agreed that there was some combat. Tournaments and stuff like that. One school versus another school. That's agreed combat. It's not someone in the street just jumps you randomly. Yeah, that's a different story. And there's also different tactics, because as your opponents change, your tactics change. If they're armed, unarmed, trained, untrained, single opponents, multiple opponents, and there's so many ways we can subdivide that. But I think it's very important that people realize what they're doing, just as we realize that, oh, look, I'm throwing a strike so you can learn something, versus now I'm training for realistic attack. Right now I'm working on your technique. Okay, you got your technique down? Fine. Okay, now let's work on your timing a little. Okay, now through both of those phases, it also builds something else, confidence in what you're doing. Okay, so now let's mess things up here. I'm going to be less compliant. I'm going to fight back. I'm going to fight more realistically. Now you have to work on applying that into different scenarios. Craig Mason will be the first to tell you, as a Dog Brother, he's taken our modern Ernie's techniques, trained the hell out of them, and applied them into those scenarios. But once again, it's not realistic, because how many people agree to stick fight each other without armor, let alone with armor? So here we go. I enjoy training because people kicking me in the head and punching me in the face and choking me still nicer than my family. Says a lot about my family. I can relate to that comment. But I really don't have much more to say. I think we said it all. Ty, do you think there's something else we need to? I want, before we turn it over to our audience to ask us questions.
Right. Well, actually, I sort of came up with two sets of three that didn't go with the three with, martial art, martial sport, martial combat. One is the physical side, right? So, and just think, see how this explores the space. And I think that's, again, the most important part of the exercise. But my idea, if we're looking at individual or applications or uses or mechanics, that kind of stuff, targeting, timing, and mechanics That's can be all technical. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But because timing can technical, it can touch on a lot of things. But anyway, those three I thought were really a neat piece of the puzzle. Art, sport, combat is another three of the puzzle, and then there's the other one, which I since I'm a the way I think about stuff, and you'll get this here in a second. I put purpose, sensitivity, and non-compliance in another group of three.
Okay.
So you got to know what you're doing, you know, what you are intending to do. How can you understand if that's doable with the sensitivity, and then the non-compliance? So now it's challenged. So those are the three sets of three I came up with, but it still explores the same space, I think, listening to you.
Yeah, no, I think maybe there's other ways to say the same things to relate to other people. Because the other thing too is a lot of times I think we all say the same stuff. We just have different ways of saying it.
Yep.
Like, oh, well, you know, you said the exact same thing I was trying to say. You just use different words. I'm like, yep.
One's for me, it's intent, character, and physical.
Okay, one is the lost post. 2, learning a phase.
Oh, I see.
3 is being able to do phase. 4, phase knowing how to do. 5, being able to know how to use phase. 6, phase, get lazy and forget it. Okay.
Nice.
Hey, Datu and Tye from Mr. Road from Kaju Weapons.
Oh, nice.
David.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's another way to approach it too, right? As you go through a phase and learning through things, or the ways you maybe go through a phase is temporally about what you're getting out of each of the things you're trying. You could do it that way too. But I would say that, you know, not everyone has the same ordering in their development.
Yeah. All right. So I think right now we'll turn it over to the audience to see if anyone has any questions on anything we talked about today or other or future shows
or comments or their own
suggestions,
breakdowns.
And then Talis says it's a duel.
Yep.
Yeah. And that and a lot of arts are like that where it's a duel, you know, versus someone attacking us in the street, which is a whole nother animal.
Or in a war footing, or in a protector footing, like you're protecting the royalty. I mean, there's so many different ways of looking at stuff. And I've trained, as you know, I've trained some with a CLOT guy who teaches the royal kind of guard version of CLOT, not the personal one-on-one CLOT. Very different.
So, yeah. Well, while we
see what pops up here.
Yeah. I mean, we may be done. Rodents. You got that one?
He's 39, so age, I guess, and 200 pounds, senior, super heavyweight for point sparring at your world champs.
Oh, okay.
So is that senior and super heavyweight or what? I guess.
So what's going to happen is that we're going to take all the winners from the point fighting and the Seeker-on fighting, and put them in an overall 18 and over grand champion division. So you could be a world champion in the weight division, and then for fighting, they're going to all fight each other for the world champ title
at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be a bear pit.
Nice.
Yeah. How come whenever I do jumping jacks, my feet land, and then the rest of my less than me lands? I don't know. I mean, it's a. Let's think about that.
Or stop falling.
Oh, there we go. There's the other thing. We'll go with that.
But I do think that, you know, trying to break this down as we all think through it, and I'm looking forward to hearing how other people break it down, or any questions they have about, hey, what about this? Did we cover that? Maybe how's that fit? Or maybe it doesn't. Like you said, hey, if it's did you miss anything? And it may not be that you missed anything, but maybe you didn't emphasize it as much as somebody wanted or you wanted. But here's the thing. One of the things I enjoy about this is that while we're training and we're thinking about training and planning on training and recovering from training and doing the training, it's not just all physical, right? You have to train with every part of you, including your mind. Otherwise, you're not going to get there,
right?
As well as you would otherwise, right? You can't just, otherwise it turns into hope. Hope is not a good strategy. So break it down, make it make sense to you. and make sure you're exploring the space that you need to cover. And I think you win. And these kind of conversations help that a lot, particularly with different people, different goals, different training, different backgrounds, different experience, different attitudes.
Oh, we've got attitude.
Lately, I've had too much of an attitude. I know it doesn't show on the show as much, but still.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Stand on stairs backwards.
Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm fat, and that's what he says. LOL. Okay. All right. Well, I think tonight's going to be a short show.
That's okay.
Hopefully, yeah, we got a few things that we got to discuss after the show, just to get ready for the next couple things. So next week, let's talk about this. Next week's show. What?
You and Eric, right?
Eric, who?
No, not next
week.
6th. That's right. Yeah.
The week after. You and I. Yep. We're going to talk about delivery systems. So,
like
linear,
UPS, FedEx.
What? Linux? Yeah, we can do Linux.
FedEx, UPS.
UPS. Yeah.
DHL.
Yeah, there we go. And so I used to work automotive, and a guy and I were talking to one of the new family members. We're talking. He's got a garage downtown, bought it from his father or something like that. I used to use Napa and all this other stuff, and now I go, yeah, I worked for Advanced Auto Parts. I used to train all the managers on the counter and stuff like that. I was one of the trainers there. I was doing that while I was building the school. So he goes, yeah, it's real rough now. Real rough. The people are now using DoorDash to deliver auto parts because they can't get drivers.
Wow. Or Uber or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, here we go. This is the last. Okay, Roden, this is the last one for you. Can I wear a Rex Kwon Do USA pants at the World Championships because no one wants around? Yeah.
This is it. Yep. So yes, please do.
Yeah, that will know. Everyone will know who you are.
That's right.
Actually, I'm putting together Team USA, so we will have matching uniforms and all this other stuff. Actually, I had Team Finland reach out to me today. Nice. Yeah, so I've got to follow up with the venue that we're doing it at because I was waiting for all the international confirmations and stuff. So it should be good. We should have a good time. Does Ty use shaving cream to shave his head? Do you use shaving cream?
Yeah, it's a shave butter.
Butter.
Shave butter, yes.
Shave butter, not a margarine.
No, yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's going to be like that. So next week's show is going to be all.
Oh, Tim Dobson. All right.
Is that Tim Dobson? Okay, and then butter.
Nice. Nice.
Chris. Okay, so it wasn't bacon though.
Bacon grease.
So, next week's show, we will be discussing. Oh, I got to change my logo here because I have the Twitter logo. It's now X. I got to change that.
See, I don't use that, so that's easier.
Yeah. So then we go up. Leftover butter for toast. Okay, all right. So we'll be talking about all the delivery systems of martial curriculum. So how do you train? Like what's the methodology? And I think this is going to be more. I mean, this obviously is about developing students.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for this weekend's Panatukan and co-hosting on the 6th. Very good.
Nice.
Yep. I got to send out invites on that as far as the link for people who are doing. I'm not sure who my partner is going to be that day. I got to make sure I got somebody that day. I know all my usual suspects have been a little all over the place.
Maybe Max.
What? Maybe I could see if he's because it's the week I'm actually starting to train. So PT, he told me today. I was like, where are you and where do you think you are? I go, to me, I feel like 60 to 80%. He goes, no, I was thinking like 50 to 60. I'm like, okay, But he goes, I go, here's the thing. He goes, well, how do you feel? I go, do you have any pain? I go, so that's a trick question.
Right.
Here's the trick question. I took out a lot of activities that would make my condition worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not doing BJJ at the moment. Cranking on my joints on my shoulder and all this other stuff.
Right.
So if we're talking day-to-day moving around, I'm fine for the most part. But he's does all my measurements on my arms and stuff. I go, yeah, there's still a huge difference between your left and your right. I'm like, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. But I want to do a throw today to Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
And I just do a sweep. I got caught up in him. And I went down on my knees on him. And at the last minute, I did a diving roll because I probably would have broke him. I mean, because Tyler's like $120 and I'm 235. And I was like, wow, that looked really cool. I go, the only reason why I did that is because I was worried about hurting Tyler. And if I would have got broken doing it, I wouldn't have minded.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I already answered Matt's question.
There we go. There's Matt's question. What does it mean? And it means Thai's Kung Fu. Twice over.
Right. I don't know why it does that.
Okay.
I just enter it once.
Oh, probably because it's going to 2 YouTube channels for me.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, but I I was feeling all good today, and all of a sudden I twisted, and my leg gave out, and I was going to crush Tyler. So I just pushed off with my good leg, and I did a front roll. And I was like, that looked really cool. Like, oh, that was me protecting my partner.
Yeah, he's young.
He's just testing you.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Bill Wallace is planning on beating the crap out of him for me. I go, yeah, I got this guy, Bill Wallace, coming up. I'll fight him. I'll challenge him. So what did I do when I hung out with Bill? Because that's Ryan's brother.
Yep.
I go, hey, guess what? What? I got a guy, Tyler, that says he's challenging you. I go, he's really tall. Bill's like, I'm more ready to hit.
Of course. Of course.
So
nice.
All right. Well, listen, next week's show, delivery systems, linear curriculum, rotating curriculum, modular training programs, all sorts of things on how to teach the next generation.
And which one you should use, which the answer is yes.
Yes, the answer is use whatever works at that time and then do more.
Yep.
The next week, I have to come up with a topic because that's going to be Eric and I. Eric will be my special co-host. That'll be the 6th. And
special. Sorry, Eric. Couldn't resist.
Precious. Okay. So the 7th or the 13th, that's we're calling WMA in the United States. So I got to get some people on that one. The 20th, WMA Canada. And then 27th, Brazil. What has happened? What is going on? And what is the future?
Nice.
Really trying to promote that.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And then the 4th, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. We'll come up with it. And then we're going to do the season wrap up on the 11th of December. And then we will probably come back on the 22nd for a couple weeks. 22nd. And then I leave the 21st out of country. So it was an amazing show. Thank you. Good night, gentlemen. See you soon. All right. Well, listen, we've got a lot of events coming up. The 11/11 is my tournament, the Buffalo Niagara Lamanlaro. It's also the Fall Fling, helping out the Wounded Warriors Project. And you too, Gary. All right. If there's anything else, as always, please just feel free. If you got suggestions for some shows, let us know, and we'll be having more things coming up really in the future. 11/11. Yep, 11/11 Lamanlaro.
Nice. Yep.
And special. My wife is trying to get me help for that.
Right.
All right. Well, listen. Always a pleasure. And I'm looking forward to seeing everyone soon. So everyone, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Dr. Tim.
PG Tye.
And we'll see you all later.